Gilman, I want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Sie, and all of you listening here. It's a pleasure once more to be back on Focus on Liberia to discuss issues relative to our common patrimony, that would be Liberia, and how we progress as a people, as a nation, and thus moving our country forward. Again, thanks, and I'm delighted to be here.
Again, that's the man right there, Wild Michael Gilman, who does not hold back going after the opposition. And he told me his intention is they need to get it right because many people have gotten it wrong. And so they need to get it right. And so he's here and he has a unique opportunity to be able to periscope the opposition. Many of you might be wondering, what is this word that you use in periscope? The word periscope, one way to understand it is if you know the word microscope. It is a device that you use to see things that you cannot easily see with clarity with your naked eyes. And you also know something called X-ray. When you use the X-ray or the X-ray machine, you tend to see something clearer and deeper. But periscope is the same, but it is more than the X-ray and the microscope. So we are here today to show the spotlight on the opposition. What have they been up to? Do they represent an alternative for the Liberian people? Can we trust them? Are they organized? We will be looking at the political parties. We'll be looking at the political leaders. We'll be looking at key political actors in the opposition bloc. And we feel that no one else can do it better than the man, Michael Gilman, and he is here. So, Mr. Gilman, we will start like this. The Liberian opposition, in politics, people say that the opposition is a government in waiting. So they stand this 50% chance of becoming a government or producing a government. And every Liberian will agree that we all need a responsible government. And to become a responsible government, first, you must be a responsible opposition. So we will be looking at all the political parties, the opposition political parties to be specific, and the collaborating political parties as well. So we will start like this, Mr. Gilman. Do you think, in your opinion, the opposition bloc represent a viable alternative for the Liberian people?
Thank you again, Mr. Sie and the team here are focused on Liberia. I'd like to sign off on this caveat, this disclaimer that I've come here as Wild Michael Gilman, host of Jida Hard Talk, many programs that we run. I have not come as government spokesperson or spokesman. I am not in any way affiliated or connected with government. So views expressed here tonight are 100% mine, independent of the government of Liberia or anybody within the government of Liberia. I like to sound off on that note. Now, having said that, whether the opposition is a government in waiting, and how responsible are they, or should they be? While that question or that statement may have some elements of truth in it, it is not always the case with opposition in Liberia. And I'll give you few examples. The progressives of Liberia, coming from Tokbana Tipote, Amos Sawyer, Bacchus Matthew, and the host of them all, Alaric Tokba, or Dusty Wolo Colley, and the likes, all of them, the progressive, put together. All of what they told us, all of what they preach in our country, they had a chance, an opportunity in Dr. Amos Sawyer, when he could not have won city mayor of Monrovia. When he did not win that, he had a chance to be interim president. And we saw what happened under Dr. Amos Sawyer. his internship as acting president or interim president of our country, he brought all of those folks in a progressive together. What did they do? Honor his leadership as interim president or acting president, steward of the country. Immediately following the war, Sawyer became acting president. What happened? Monrovia was reduced to Ducal Hotel. All of government ministries and agencies under Amos Sawyer, for many, many months, over a year or so, they were all situated in Ducal Palace. Instead of getting out, you had ECOMOG there. Instead of getting out into Monrovia, securing the mansion, securing the foreign affairs, the Pan-African Plaza, the Monrovia City Hall, the Capitol building, instead of securing government buildings and properties adjacent, no, those areas were no-go zone. And so what happened? Sawyer tenure was over. What did he achieve? What development, what system were put in place? So that statement that opposition is a government and a professional organized government in waiting does not suffice for everybody, and not even for our country. Because, thank you.
Again, you heard him there with his opening statement saying that the statement that an opposition is a government in waiting and that in some way they will be viable, paraphrasing here, does not hold truth at all. And so on that basis, we will now go into our main conversation. And Mr. Gilman, we want to say to you, we want to focus mainly on the current opposition bloc, or the current political parties and political leaders, and we have them here we have them here in our plan. And so we'll bring them on one by one so that you can have the opportunity to go into that. And so we will start with the Unity Party. And our first question to you would be, is the Unity Party a viable political party morally and structurally, in your opinion?
The Unity Party led our country for 12 years. 12 of the last, say, or 14 years, they led our country. And we all know what happened, especially so our country coming out of the realms, the titles of war. Donor funds were coming in. It was an era for all hands on deck, for, again, taking over from Charles Taylor to Judy Bryan, from Amos Sawyer to Charles Taylor to Judy Bryan, all of that, taking over from there with another team of professionals that have always wanted to lead this country. Well, we all know the rest is history. Unity Party did what she knew best, how much she could have done. But was that enough? No. Because they didn't do enough for the country. You will recall Joseph Boakai, the former vice president, said they squandered many opportunities. You will recall members within the Unity Party started within 6-8 months of this current government, began calling for replacing this government or removing the CDC-led government because they did not do well. They thought the Liberian people needed more of them, or so that they could correct some wrongs that they did not do. But you have to wait. You have to wait for the next time. And because of that, what the date as a party, as a government over the last 12 years or before the CDC, what happened? They could have only won you know, their supporters votes, but they didn't win the independence. They didn't win anywhere besides the home base, Lofa County. You know, the CDC won 14 counties. They won over independents. They won over other opposition parties that were against the Unity Party at the time. So Unity Party did not do well. By all accounts.
Mr. Gilman,
yeah.
I know you are throwing this blanket statement out that Unity Party did not do well at all. And there's this saying that by their fruits, we shall know them. The Unity Party, if you look at its history during their 12 years into office, from the onset, they took over a country that was virtually dead with no institutions, no system in play, not at all. And they managed to get us started. They helped to get our debt waived. And we had a functional government that were paying people on time. And so they can argue that, look, given where we came from, to have produced a functional government that won the sympathy and support of the international community, if we are given the chance again, we can do better. So we represent a viable alternative to a CDC government that inherited a much, much better government compared to ours, but it's doing miserably. What would be your response?
Well, let's go back to you said the government of Ellen Sirleaf had debt waiver, but what happened? You started off on a clean sheet of debt for close to almost 5 billion waived. You had 16 billion come in as aid, direct investment, what have you. And what happened? After your first year, your first term, the new Minister of Finance that will take over in 2012, Amara Kone, what did he say? The Sirleaf government consolidated account was a negative $26.6 million. And talking about consolidated account, that's everything in government, including donor funds, all right? Consolidated, look at the word consolidated, it's not charter account, it's consolidated account. Negative $26.6 million.
That means they had a huge challenge and they put it off.
No, they did not put it off. It wasn't a huge challenge. You can't say that because you should first investigate why negative $26.6 million. Why did it happen? You have no debt. You have donor funds coming in. Elections in our country was almost 50 to 70% financed by the international community. Okay? The records are there. You can look at it. And first term, negative 26 million. And
Mr. Gilman,
let me answer the full question. CDC came in.
He was trying to say that that's what they inherited.
No, that's not what they inherited. That's that's what his ministry, when he became minister. But that what was created by the Sirleaf government. I'm saying after Sirleaf's 6-year term, the first 6 years.
Okay.
The first 6 years, she left on the books negative $26.6 million. Amara Kone took over and he left on the books in the same consolidated account, which comprises, according to him, the consolidated account is everything, asset, liability, donor funds, everything put together, $7 million. That's why he left for Samuel Twer. So how much debt was left for this government? Close to $1 billion United States dollar. How much local debt by Liberian dollar? About almost $1 trillion Liberian dollar in debt. I hope this is not strange or surprising to people here tonight that the Liberian government owe local in Liberian dollar cents, Liberian dollars and cents, close to $1 trillion. Okay, that's what was left on the books. So you talk about government salaries were being paid and they were current. No, this government inherited 3 months arrears and it has 7 million to work with. They have 150 million from a reserve that should be at all times, at least $500 million. They dropped the reserve from 367 million in 2016 to 150 million that was turned over. So they did not do well. We all know it. Corruption skyrocketed under Ellen Sirleaf's 12 years reign, such that she made her kids, her children were involved in the corruption scandals in our country. And what did she do about it? Did she prosecute anybody for corruption? No, she said, the buck stops with me. I apologize for my children. You know, as Mama Bear, I got to protect my children. And Liberian said, okay, you know, but they didn't do well. We all know it. And Unity Party, as a governing party for 12 years, what can they point to?
Mr. Gilman, talking about what can they point to,
right.
Anybody from the Unity Party will argue that they can point to paying civil servants on time, unlike this current administration. They can point to building more roads. They can point to building institutions, talking about the ministerial complex, and many other projects like the hydro. They can point to securing $16 billion direct investment, and they can point finger at the current government that, look, we were able to secure $16 billion in foreign direct investment, and you are yet to secure one. What will you say to that?
Those were on the books, Mr. Sear.
Okay.
Those were on the books. Let's look at reality. What was done? You talk about the hydro, LEC. Right out the door, after January 22nd, 2018, LEC was banking at the doors of the finance ministry. You owe us $8 million. We need it. The government came out of the 7 million, the government came out with 6 million, pay LEC. So we'll pay you the balance. LEC, the hydro, is a Millennium Challenge sponsored, project, $267 million to get the LEC back up and running again. Okay. Look at the economy that was left by the Sirleaf government. A whole bank just disappeared overnight from the economy.
What bank are you talking about?
I'm talking about was it the First Merchant Bank, or the name can't come quickly to my mind, but folks that are listening, that are in Liberia, Liberians that are listening, will tell you a whole bank disappeared just before around 2014, 15 or so. That bank vanished because of some scandals that went on there. I'm investigating that. I just had to let it out here tonight. What happened in the Unity Party-led government? All right, when you talk about accountability and paying people on time, this government inherited 3 months in arrears. How much roads were built by the Sirleaf government that you talk about? How much roads? The Sirleaf government used the road funds, tax dollars, for road upkeep, development, and what have you, from gasoline and gasoline products that were taxed to maintain the roads, to build roads. They used it to pay salaries. That was not enough. They went ahead and borrowed from the Central Bank of Liberia. Currently, the total amount owed the Central Bank by the government of Liberia is about $488 million, of which this government, which this government owes, out of that 488 million, this government owes the Central Bank $28 to $30 million out of the 488 million. So
Mr. Gilman, playing the devil advocate here, and it's on the same subject about road. I'm bringing this point in.
Right.
Playing the devil advocate here, the folks in the Unity Party can say that, hey, to our credit, we created the road fund, and there is an account to that effect. And throughout the time we were in charge, the international community was contributing their part because we were fulfilling our part of the agreement, unlike the current administration that
And
has defaulted. And in fact, let me land.
Yeah.
Unlike the current administration that has defaulted and in fact went and took money from the road fund and use it for something not intended. What would be your saying to them?
When you look at good governance,
okay,
and you look at application of citizens' tax dollars, all right, to their benefits, how can you give it to the Unity Party government when it comes to the road fund? How? The Unity Party government did not use the road fund for the intended purpose. They used it to pay salaries. They borrow on top of that to pay salaries. This government says, okay, and you will agree with me, Sia, that people in the communities where these roads are being constructed, are being carried out. Like right now, the Soul Clinic Road is being built. How many years has it been? They will tell you, say, you've probably heard this. They say they not get money to pay salaries, but where they taking money from to build roads? Okay? Because we tax you. The government taxed you to upkeep the roads, to build the roads. And your money is coming in. Once you buy 1 gallon gasoline, you buy 1 quart of oil, you buy fuel oil, diesel, there is a percentage that is being deposited into government revenue that is called road fund to go into road construction, road maintenance, road development. And the government said, we're gonna be straight with the Liberian people. Their tax dollar for roads will go to roads. Okay, that's development. That's how it is done. You don't misapply the monies because you don't have it to pay salaries. You have all of the aid that came in. You had a direct aid that came to finance, subsidize government payroll. All right, to help. So what did you do with all of those? What did you do? Yeah.
So, Mr. Gilman, I'll come back to you. Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. On our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anson Sia, we have Mr. Michael Gilman of the Jide Hard Talk as our guest. And we have started a new series on this network called Periscope. And we are periscoping the opposition. This will be a month-long series, and this is the first edition of our Periscope series, and it is the opposition that we got on our Periscope this evening. Mr. Gilman, let me come back to you. Let's conclude on the issue of accountability, moral standing, the Unity Party as now an opposition, but then as a ruling party. And from what I'm hearing from you, they don't have any moral standing when it comes to accountability, financial management, and all of that. So I want you to conclude on that. Then we'll go to the Unity Party as a political party. How August 9 is the Unity Party structurally leads to be talking about coming back to power. So conclude on the issue of governance.
The Unity Party cannot boast of good governance. They cannot even boast of practicing democracy to the letter, where people had the rights, the freedoms, and what have you, what is being experienced under this government. It was not there for the Unity Party, okay? What they did in conjunction with the international partners, with UNMIL, they were able to keep the peace. And that, again, can be to a larger extent be credited to UNMIL, the over 17,000 United Nations peacekeepers that were in our country. They were across the 43,000 square miles of Liberia, present at every, in every county, every district, monitoring and securing our peace. So we gave it up to them. this government came to be right on the heels of O'Neill departing the country. We are managing ourselves. Free speech has been decriminalized under this government. Something that was proposed during Ellen Sirleaf's time. No, she did not do that because, like I said, all of these Ellen Sirleaf, the Bacchus Matthew, the Amos Sawyer, the Tipote, the Wolokoli, the Alaric Topa, they all came from that background of progressives. And what they've done to our country is is the effect we are reeling. They did not put in place systems that would have governed us well. This Ellen Sirleaf government spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to develop an economic system, a plan that would have helped the country.
Let me throw this in.
Let me finish up. When that plan was done by professionals from the international community, all right? When that plan was done, the file brought in for implementation, what happened? They shelved it. They put it in file number 13, that nobody would see it, not implemented, because it would have brought about transparency. It would have brought about accountability. But all of these things were lacking. And they were lacking because people instituted the corruption. It was institutionalized under the Sirleaf government. So they cannot boast, Unity Party cannot boast of being credible, of being good, that they govern well in our country. No.
Let me throw this in, and then you can end with that.
Yeah.
The issue of employing people or bringing competent people into government. Again, playing the devil advocate here, the Unity Party people might want to knock their chest that, look, our government was efficient because we brought qualified people in our administration, and that is one of the reasons we can point to some successes. Unlike this government, maybe there are too many incompetent people. What will you say to that?
The Unity Party brought in families and friends, okay? Yes, some of which were competent, are competent, they remain competent. But let's look at one family besides Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and her family. You know how many of them were in the government. Let's look at Samuel Kofi Woods. Kofi Woods was Public Works Minister. He's married to Jerome Verdier's and James Verdier's sister. Jerome Verdier was at the Truth and Reconciliation. James Verdier was at LACC. Okay? How many people did they bring along with them? You got 2 brothers and 1 brother-in-law. People that are not family to Ellen Sirleaf. Then think about what Ellen Sirleaf did herself. Do you know Milton Weeks is like a stepchild to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? It's like, do you know that? They grew up in one home with Robert Sirleaf, with Charles Sirleaf, and her other kids that she born naturally. Do you know Milton Weeks is Ellen Sirleaf? And then you have 2 brothers, 2 half-brothers, working at the central bank. You understand? So there were competent people, but some of them were not allowed. She brought in people from abroad to help her. Her families, her friends, her close associates.
Mr. Gilman, are you accusing Ellen of nepotism?
If it is not nepotism, what it is? If it is not...
You tell us.
I'm explaining to you so that you make the decision for yourself. You got 2 brothers and 1 brother-in-law in government, in positions of trust, earning fat salaries, okay? Fat, lucrative salaries on the backs of the poor people, paying 13, 15,000, okay? She opened up another avenue to hire her folks, special executive service, where people were making $27,000 to $35,000 in a poor country like Liberia. Huh? Let's look at JFK under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, an institution that had in the budget on the average $6 to $7 million annually. Look at 2016, 2017 budget. What were the objectives? What were the goals and objectives of the budget for JFK? To train doctors to be specialized into various fields, to buy equipment for the hospital. All right, I'm talking about 2016, 2017. And then at the end of the year, what were the achievements? This is on their books, on their records. What were the achievements? They say they have management, upper management and employee meetings. It brought everybody closer together. How many doctors did you train? Specialized doctor, gynecologist, anesthesiologist, like Arvin Dole now, brain surgeon. How many did you train? Did you special?
Mr. Gilman, playing the devil advocate, allow me to chip in here. The Ellen government folks might tell you that, look, during our time, we sent a lot of young people for training abroad. Right. A lot of scholarships were given. And are you saying that this is not anything that they should even talk about because
it's not a lot of scholarship that were given, Mr. Sear. It's a lot of money that were given for too few scholarships. Okay? Darius DeLong is one of those, where over $300,000 was spent on DeLong to come to go to Australia University. One person. And what did he do? Did not even end a semester. He packed up and went home. That's waste of taxpayer dollars. Okay? They brought 2-3 persons at Harvard because they got connection there and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars behind 2-3 persons. What did this government do? The CDC government. As soon as they took over, they saw the need, they saw the lack for health practitioners, for specialists. They sent out 18 to 20 Liberians to specialize in various disciplines. How much was spent behind those 20 people? How much? Less than $300,000, 20 people. As compared to one person coming with 300,000, with 200,000, with 250,000 under the Sirleaf government. You know, they wasted, that's why Joseph Boakai will be remembered as the one who put it out there, that the Sirleaf Unity Party government wasted, they squandered a lot of opportunities. They had the green light to retool our country, to redirect our country, but they failed us, our generation. And that's why we should not allow this current leadership to fail our children's children. Okay? They should not. We should not.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman. Thank you, Mr. Gilman. You heard right there why Michael Gilman is not taken prisoner here on our program, The Hour of Politics, on this network focus on Liberia. Again, folks in cyberspace, if you're just joining us, we want to say welcome. This is Focus on Liberia. This is The Hour of Politics. And here we talk nothing but responsible politics. While Michael Gilman is here to play harbor, he is periscoping the Liberian opposition in this series, month-long series of Periscope on this network focus on Liberia. Mr. Gilman, quite clearly, you said the Unity Party cannot claim any moral ground when it comes to the governance of our country. You said they were corrupt, they didn't achieve more, even though they have all the opportunity. Paraphrasing all you said here. Now, let's go to the Unity Party as a political institution. Let's look at the structure. Let's look at the leaders. Let's look at their cells. Let's look at their strength in terms of members, or if you say voters. Do you think the Unity Party is not strong politically as a political party?
The Unity Party is not strong.
Why may you say that?
That party was not built as an institution. All right, so that they have those mechanisms in place that if Ellen Sally leaves, the party remains. But what happened after Ellen Sally, the party disintegrated. It continued to disintegrate. In fact, on the heel of election, the party was disintegrated. No unity. This party is called Unity Party, but I mean, this is clear. It's everywhere. We all saw it. Okay, the president, outgoing vice president, running to be the next president, could not see eye to eye. Expulsion taking place, and whoever had the most money or whatever, had a day. You got the followings. Okay, they are not a united party. They didn't do well for the counties or the country, and that's why you have 14 counties to vote against Joseph Boakai and the Unity Party in the runoff election. From the get-go, 2005, okay, Unity Party came second. Okay, 2011, Unity Party came second. It's only in the runoff that they will win. How did they win in the runoff when they could not win first place in the general elections? That's another thing to investigate. But no, they are not a strong party. They've been just holding on, and getting over the finish line. But whatever means, I don't know.
Mr. Gilman, let me bring you to this point. You said the Unity Party is not strong. This is a party that won 2 elections. Some people may argue, landslide, that's not me saying it, but at least they won 2 elections. And then in the election that brought President Weah to power, the key second, they went into the runoff and they didn't make it. The number of votes they acquire so significant than any other party besides the CDC. So somebody will say that numerically, that party is strong. Then you were also talking about this unity in the Unity Party. Playing the devil advocate here, is it anything new? Isn't this common to all political parties? Let's talk about the CDC now, there's this unity. What will you say to that?
It's common, it can be common, but you're talking about the president, outgoing president, will not endorse publicly her vice president to replace her. She will tell the international media, that it is time for a new generation of leaders. And she will hold on to those guns for a new generation of leaders. Okay, so look, they did not lay the groundwork to keep that party afloat. They did not. That party, Unity Party, will be remembered as a party that led the country once for 12 years. Whether they're going to regain power on this January 7th day, 2020, the year of focused vision, I'm telling you, it will not be in our lifetime. That Unity Party.
And you want me to mark this day?
That's what I just called the date out, January 7th, 2020. Looking you in the eyes of the camera and say, Unity Party will not come to power in our lifetime. Okay? It's not possible.
All right. Mr. Gilman, thank you again, folks, in cyberspace. This is Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony C., your humble host. Folks, we have something else for you. Stay there. Don't go anywhere. We have with us a lawyer who practices emphasis is in immigration law. She in California, where she practices law, And we brought her in here because there is a huge, big news for those of us who are Liberian in the United States. As you all know, the Liberian Refugee Immigration FedNet Act has been passed into law and signed by Donald Trump. Now Liberians can apply.
Right.
Her practice is focused on immigration law, and she is here to share how she can be of help to many of our brothers and sisters who have been on DED, TPS, who came in the country through other means, legal or not, but are qualified based on the way the law has been passed. So we are going to give her 10 minutes, so do not go anywhere. After her 10-minute presentation, we will get back to Mr. Michael Gilman to continue our Periscoping series. So at this time, we will welcome Councillor Rochelle. Welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you so much, Ansemi, for inviting me to be on your program today. As you've mentioned to the viewers, my name is Rochelle Fortier-Wadibia. I'm an attorney that's located in San Francisco, California, in the Bay Area. I've been working with Liberian nationals for 20 years here in the Bay Area, helping them go from undocumented to asylum, or undocumented to TPS, undocumented to DED. And people that have come from Liberia generally have come in a documented status, generally in my experience, and certainly there are some that may have not. But anyway, I'm here to express the great news that, and I really was not involved in the development of this law, so I want to express gratitude for all those people that worked so hard to get this act passed. As Anthony mentioned, this is the Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Act. And what this act does is allow Liberians that have been present in the United States since 2014 up to present are now eligible to apply for green cards. This is monumental. This is something that has been offered in the past to people that have been on DED or TPS for an extended period of time. And finally, we are recognizing the value of having Liberian nationals in our country. As I stated, I've been working with Liberians for over 20 years, representing people for asylum and also in deportation defense for those that were fearing being removed from the United States. The interesting thing about this act is that even though you may have been in immigration court and may have an order of removal already on your record, you are still eligible to file for this green card. This law only applies to Liberians. It's not a overreaching immigration law. It is specific for Liberian nationals, which I think is just excellent. The important thing to remember is that we're only people must file this year, as the deadline for filing will be December 2020, December 20th, 2020. And so people have to get prepared and get ready to start filing now, and people can file up to December 20th, 2020. The law requires that Liberian nationals have been continuously present in the United States and that they're eligible to file. I don't think that these are really great hurdles for the Liberian nationals to overcome in order to qualify for this status. The only people that are really barred from relief are people that have committed crimes of moral turpitude or who may be ineligible based on other factors and have no available waiver. So this is something for everyone to think about. We should all be rejoicing for this new law that's passed. To be able to get an immigration law of any sort through this Congress is really a special feat. So this green card application is for what we call an immigrant visa. There's also something I want to bring to your attention, which is the non-immigrant visa that people are also eligible for through the e-visa. It's basically a business entrepreneurial visa for people that want to come to live in the United States and run a business. So this is something that is not really talked about much. Liberia, along with a few other nations, have access to this visa. And once you get it and you have your business running in the United States, you're able to renew the visa over and over again indefinitely. So, and there is no direct path to citizenship with it, but you're able to live, earn a living, and at some point, other circumstances may change, and you'll be able to move over to an immigrant visa. So I'll stop right there, Anthony. If people have any questions, I can perhaps take a couple. But the most important thing on the immigrant side is for those people who are family members.
All right, thank you. We have maybe one or two questions for you. And I think the main question here is, so how can you be reached? There are some Liberians I know would like to do this with a lawyer so that they can be guided. How can you be reached?
My contact information, I believe, is it available on the screen here? I can show my card, which I'm not thinking that's not working very well. Oh,
Yeah, it's clear right there. It's clear.
all right. And my phone number is 415-781-5750. My email address is attorney@rafnlaw.com. And I can also be reached on Twitter @rafnlaw. RAF as in Frank, ANLAW.com. I look forward to working with so many of you as I have done in the past.
All right, thank you. And what we're going to do is your information, we're going to pin it down right below the live feed so that our viewers and audience can be able to access it. Better still, if they need the information, you can inbox us or contact us at Focus on Liberia here, and we will be able to give you the information how to get to Councilor Rochelle so she can be of help to you in applying for your green card. We want to say thank you for the work you've been doing for the Liberian community. We encourage you to do so. We will guide our people how to get to you and how best you can be of help to them. Thank you for coming to share your willingness to help our people.
Thank you for having me.
All right, bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
All right. All right, again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia on our program, The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony Sie. Today, we have started a series called Periscope, and in series 1, we are periscoping the Liberian opposition. We are back with our guest, Mr. Michael Gilman, and we also want to welcome our man, Ellis Chucho Jones. Mr. Jones is the editor of our Business and Economic Forum here at Focus on Liberia. Mr. Jones, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. It's another interesting show. So I've been following Mr. Gilman, and it's interesting.
Thank you so much. Let's go back to Mr. Gilman, and then we'll come to Ellis Chucho Jones. By the way, Mr. Jones is co-hosting with me. He couldn't be here at the start of the show because he has some work engagement, but he's here now, and we will try to go into business. So folks, share the show and be part of this Periscope series. You don't want to miss this. Mr. Gilman, you had the opportunity to Periscope the Unity Party. Unity Party is not the Unity Party. Let's go a little fast now. Are you of the view that Mr. Bloc doesn't have it? And my next question also will be, what about other political actors in the Unity Party? Will you not believe that they are promising, or will you say that they are discouraging as well?
Well, thank you very much. And Mr. Jones, good evening. Welcome to you there. Great to be in your company.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman.
You're welcome, sir. Before I go to your question, Mr. Sear, during the time of the councilor, the immigration lawyer presence on here, I took some time off to read some of the comments. Though I read them as they come along, but I found out that a few people were concerned of some issues. For example, Dave Jah is talking about corruption and accountability, that governments have always had a problem with corruption and accountability, and what can be done to prosecute corruption and make people accountable. Well, again, why I do not speak for this current government, the CDC government, because I'm not connected with the CDC government. I'm not their spokesman, but based on our own work that we've done and how the information, the following the country, discussing the country every day, will give you reason to believe that this government have taken steps to stampede corruption. And you may not want to believe it, but you have to look at what is happening in the country. Okay? People will tell you, they will complain about 16 billion, about 25 million mop-up exercise, and what else? What else can they point to? Besides 16 billion and 25 million, what else can they point to say this government official, this other executive from this public corporation embezzle hundreds of thousands of millions or millions of dollars? What else besides 16 billion and 25 million? We can point to one. People are being prosecuted for corruption, and we heard it from the chairman on asset recovery. All right, that this president have decided to spend the political capital, what he called the political will, and to go after corrupt officials. What we have to do as people, as citizens, and people who have interest in our country that want to weed out corruption, we have to, maybe pressure. Let me answer some of these. Let me finish up.
No, Mr. Gilman, I will not allow that. I will not allow that. Our focus here is the opposition. We brought you in to Periscope the opposition.
Yeah, but these are comments. These are comments from people that are viewing the show.
Yeah, then
you don't want to respond to them. Okay,
no,
give me 30 seconds
to respond to them.
Okay, give me 30 seconds. No, Anthony, Mr. Sierra.
Mr. Gilman,
yeah.
I do not want you to respond to people's personal comment. You are here on a mission to Periscope the Liberian opposition.
I understand. Okay.
A viable alternative. If
right.
you take 20 minutes off to respond to
no, I'm not taking 20 minutes off.
Then we would not be able to accomplish what we are here for. So please focus on the conversation.
Okay, right? Let's go ahead. All
right. So let us come to the ANC. You have had enough time to discuss the Unity Party. Another political party, some people will argue, is promising or is rising, is the ANC. Do you think the ANC, its political leader, political actors in the ANC are projecting themselves as alternative that Liberians should trust?
Sadly, they go by the name Alternative National Congress. And but are they the real alternative? Is ANC the real alternative to our country's quest? I say no, outright no, because if you look at the leader of the ANC, Mr. Cummings, Alexander Cummings, all right, what is this man's history? What is this man's history? Is he relatable? Can you see yourself in him as somebody that you want to emulate? Maybe in corporate America, but I'm talking about Liberia border politics. Okay? In corporate America, yes, he excelled. He did good. If you want to associate that with him, fine. I'll give it to you. But talking about Liberia, where the issue, the bread and butter issue, this man said he goes to work. He goes to work at Coca-Cola in Atlanta, headquarters. And because he has good staff members, he look at them, good morning, Mr. Good morning, sir. And then he goes in his office, close the door.
And read the newspaper. No, but Mr. Gilman, that's not what he said. That was a joke.
What makes it a joke?
Right. Well, I read the article, and what he said was, I like to joke.
Not just Jones.
Okay.
Not,
I read the article. Yeah.
Not
okay.
just the article, but he's on video. He's on video as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He's on video. Okay. Okay, talking about history. He's introduced by one of his staunchest ally supporter, Muna Farhat, right there in Minnesota, as somebody who grew up in Point 4 and with the poor people, and his story is a success story. It's a Liberian story. And then he sits before the white journalist, and then he tells him, you know, growing up in Monrovia, it was okay. I come from the middle class. My family could afford it. Right after high school, you know, my parents sent me abroad, and he did not even mention that he went to Cottington. There are people who support this guy that did not even know that he went to CWA because he does not associate with people. He did not go to CWA functions, Alumni Association. No, such that this guy will argue with me for over 20, 30 minutes on my show that Alexander Cummings graduated from Demonstration High School.
Mr. Gilman.
I said, hold on, we are periscoping ANC. I said, are you kidding me? He graduated Demonstration. I said, Demonstration is not a high school. I took my national exams in 1985 at Demonstration on Clay Street. That's an elementary school. It was a feeder to most schools. It was an elementary school, a very good elementary school back then that fed students into CWA, Cathedral, those bigger schools. Okay? So the guy had to come back the next day and say, I apologize, because he never saw Cummings in their midst. He graduated from CWA. He said, my man, I graduated CWA and Cummings never came to our event. I said, that's the man you behind. That have never been there for the people, with the people. So that's who they have. But I want to respond to Mary Twett on the CDC audit. We're talking about corruption and auditing of the
Mr. Gilman, can I stick to the opposition? We are periscoping the opposition, please. You came here, you said you're not representing the government. Why you want to respond to things relating to government?
I'm picking up comments, questions from your audience.
All
if
right.
You don't want to provide answers, if you don't want to provide
Gilman,
answers for your audience,
let's do this, Mr. Gilman.
Yeah.
Let's bring Mr. Jones in. Mr. Jones, you were just listening to why Michael Gilman trying to periscope ANC as a political party, Mr. Alexander Cummings as a political leader, saying that he is not relatable. I'm wondering whether if the man was down to earth yesterday, what is the guarantee that when he becomes president, that is the magic one to be a better president? Somebody may argue that others were down to earth. People knew the schools they attended. They came to power and it became completely different. I know friends who were very close. Today they're in government. They don't call me. They don't even respond to my text messages. I didn't expect that. So to just use that as a yardstick that, oh, because he was not relatable, if it's true in any way, so he would not be a good president, I think that is a complete generalization. What do you say to that?
Well, I totally agree with you, Mr. Sear. And first of all, you know, sorry I couldn't be at the beginning of the show. I just left work. Mr. Gilman claims that he doesn't receive any compensation. He does not work for the government. But after hearing, I would say the government should be paying him because he's doing. Thank you. He's doing a pretty fine job, and that's what people like this. No, seriously, I mean, people like Mr. Gilman, you know, should be working for Joshua. He should be getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars because he's doing a good job. I mean, his facts are on point. He talked about the over $1 billion debt accumulated. He talked about the family, the patronage system in Liberia. He talks about, so, you know, I mean, when it came to Cummings, the one statement, that was a joke because I read the article. But he's factual, you know, and I like people who can come up with facts. If you come up with the facts and you win, then so be it. The problem with the opposition, and Mr. C, I agree with you in terms of somebody becoming down to earth doesn't necessarily guarantee that person is going to be a good president. somebody being rich doesn't guarantee or successful in corporate America. I mean, how many people we have in corporate America? Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa right now, he's worth almost $500 million. He was he's the richest man in South Africa. He has the most amount of assets and wealth and corporate experience. And look at South Africa. It's a disaster. People are rallying the street for economic madness and decline. They're killing foreigners, you know. So I don't subscribe to any of that. I know there's a bunch of Liberians, as soon as somebody has a little bit of money or success, then the person becomes a god. We said the same thing about Ellie Johnson Sirleaf. Okay? And we said the same thing about George Weah. So I think the key here is, what's your plan? What are you proposing? And is that plan, you know, something that makes sense? And Mr. Cummings has not been able to deliver a plan. I mean, I've been, like you said, I read the articles, listened to his speeches, I listened to his interviews, and unfortunately, he doesn't have anything to offer. What he goes by is, oh, I'm a successful corporate guy. Berlusconi in Italy was a successful corporate guy, okay? The French former prime minister, Sarkozy, he was a successful, in fact, he was finance minister. So let's stop this. If you want to be a leader, you have to be able to provide something other than your personality or your person.
Right.
Come up, Mr. Cummings, with something tangible. Let us know how you can fix the situation. That's one. Two, look at the people around Cummings. I mean, these guys are JVs. You got people that tell one way. What influence do these people have in mainstream Liberia? So when you gather a bunch of young people around you and think that because these people have a lot of Facebook followers, that you're going to win the election in Liberia, they're popular on Facebook, no doubt. These are my friends. You know, I just tend to speak the truth. They have their opinion about me. I have my opinion, and that's fine. These are people who can sit and have an intellectual conversation like Mr. Gilman today. This man has been on the air, on opposition or on neutral radio, TV station, defending his position. Let's see Mr. Cummings do that. Okay? So that's the problem I have with Mr. Cummings, Mr. Boyka, Mr. Ure. You know, they stay in a little cocoon with a bunch of people around them, and they think that's how you can influence people. And Mr. Cummings worked for Coca-Cola. He knows that for the first part of leadership is, like he said, hire good people, bring good people around you. So tell me today, who is in the ANC that any Liberian can look at and okay, this person is a well-sound, this person understands the economy, this person understands the situation in Liberia. Who? Right. I put that challenge on today. And if that person is, let them go on any neutral, they shouldn't come and focus on Liberia. Let them go on any neutral media and let them tell the Liberian people how they're going to reduce inflation, how they're going to increase employment, how they're going to cover the almost $1 billion trade deficit. Mr. Cummings does not have that.
All right.
So, and so is Boyka. He doesn't have it.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, for those points. Mr. Gilman, let me come back to you. And picking up from Mr. Jones' point about who are the people around Cummings, you know, who are the people working within the party, who are the political operatives, you know, within the ANC that Liberian can look at and say, okay, he's bringing a lot of solid people around. So this is a sense of, you know, what the party claims to be an alternative. The ANC have had so many programs and, you know, retreat here and there, raising funds. And I've had an opportunity to see some of the videos on Facebook. And I see a lot of good-looking Liberians. Anybody would think that, okay, that man is bringing a lot of solid people around. Or is it that Mr. Cummings is bringing people on board in the U.S.? Is the political party ANC more U.S.-based and less Liberia-based? What is going on?
Let me tell you that, Mr. Jones, thanks for that recommendation to the government of the day.
They should pay you. You're doing a good job.
Do you really want that? You want to get on payroll, Mr. Gilman?
Why not? He's an analyst. We should pay our people. If he's going to be doing the bidding for them, why should he get compensated for his work?
Well, maybe he is. That's why he's doing it.
No, this is why I'm thanking Mr. Jones for that comment, because at least for that's my first time interacting with him, you know, to come out and believe me out of the box that I'm not being paid for what I do, you know, is something, because all of what we do here is to accuse people of being pay agents, you know, government propagandists, and this guy is getting the brown envelope, and none of that is happening. None of that is happening. So that's why I want to thank him for that. On the issue of Cummings and the people that he has surrounded himself with, you know, I published a story pretty close to like 7-8 months ago about one of the founding members of the ANC, Kwame Clement, right, in which Kwame Clement said that Cummings, if he continue on the path he's on, he's gonna go broke.
Exactly.
People will eat his money, and he will not win any political office. Mm-hmm. You know, I thought people would have ganged up to come up to me and say, where you got that story from? How did you get it? And whether they will even go to Kwame Clement to say, how did Gilman get that story and all of that? You know, there's a balance, you know, in our local. That is Jawuli Adi. Bring your money, let eat it.
Oh, wow.
You know, that's how the people that are around Cummings, that's how they see him. Mm-hmm. They see him as the man that taught in the money bags. Look at, you talk about the health fundraisers around the country. Look at Philadelphia, where you get thousands and thousands of Liberians. The most recent program held in Philadelphia, how many people were there? How many? Less than 20 in that big hall. All right? In his own hometown, Atlanta, Georgia. Around the only time you see people attend Alexander Cummings when he's guest speaker at the Association of Liberian Journalists in the Americas. Then, or you know, but his own program. Okay, he has held programs here in Detroit. All right, where people fundraiser, where people spend $500 to $1,000 a plate. But who are those that were there? Downtown Detroit. They were Americans, corporate America. Okay, he had to reduce the Liberian ticket to like $250. He still couldn't get good 10 Liberians to go there. Okay, so he has to retool, recalibrate. Okay, because apparently he has just come to the landscape, the Liberian border politics landscape, and he has not gotten deeply rooted in the politics of Liberia yet. So he surrounds himself with people from the diaspora, a little bit from the homeland, and thinking that because they are outspoken, they can talk, they got huge followings. Look at what happened. How did the CPP come to be? How did it come to be? Over Henry Costa and Darius Dillon sitting in the studio in Monrovia after Christmas in 2018. I say, if these people, the political leaders, they don't come together so that we can go against George Weah, they should forget it. 2 days later, Ellis Cummings was in studio with
Costa.
Yeah, with Costa. He was in studio with Costa. He's been pulled and led by the nose for his monies.
I think he's desperate. And I think he thinks he can buy the... And again, let me be honest with you, Mr. Gilman. I'm no fan of George Weah, not on a personal level. I'm not impressed. Right. But you know what? This show is not about George Weah. This show tonight is not about the government.
No.
And I think all of these people were invited. So if you don't go and defend yourself, I'm not going to defend you, and I'm not going to play devil advocate for you.
Right.
So that's why he needs to hire people who can go out there, first of all, write a fitting policy, then articulate that policy to the Liberian people instead of telling them you're successful at Coca-Cola, you know, what that's going to do for me. Did I, you know, if you are enjoying Coca-Cola stock, you know, Liberian would like this demo God thing. Yes, he has his money. That's his money for him and his family. So I'm not defending any, we're talking about the opposition, so I'm going to take a very hard line and objective look at the opposition. And
Correct.
most of the things you're saying, they are correct. You got Muna Fahad. Okay, who is she in Liberian circles? Be honest.
Right.
Is she somebody that has any sway on an independent, Liberian audience? No.
Right.
When you compare her with the people around George Weah, the same election that George Weah won. Okay, I was looking at the result earlier. Cummings did not even win in Maryland County. Now what? He came almost last among the political leaders, and I think he spent probably the second most amount of money.
Right.
So now, from an analytical standpoint, right, from a corporate standpoint, you ran an election, you claim to be the most, sophisticated, the most fit for the job. And you came last among people that, even beyond Prince Johnson, a former warlord. Then you got the same people around you. Okay? You got to wake up. You got to wake up. First of all, besides that, my disappointment with Alexander Cummings and people like him, instead of trying to focus on really helping Liberian people using his skills and his experience to bring jobs for Liberians. First, okay, why don't you convince Coca-Cola, all right, to be able to open bottling services in Monrovia, or the ones that are there, to expand it throughout the county? Right. Why don't you invest in low-income housing instead of building a house that people have to have $5,000 a month or $3,000 a month? How many people in Liberia can afford that? So those are stupid political decisions. If you want to be identified with the people, you have to be like the people. You have to live among them, not in your high rise or your IV tower, like Ellen, and then come down and say, oh yeah, you guys just, and go give people a few $1,000 and say, go make farm. Why don't you set up a mechanized farm in Liberia that will start producing and exporting? You think if you started to do that, right? You think people will not see your ability? You don't have to give all these different, Liberia, what they call it, EFF, all these group money every time they call you. You're not going to win election. What you need to be is to be sincere. You want election, you have to do for the people. You have to put your skills to work. Look at Liberian banks. He claimed that he worked at LBDI. He has a finance background. He has a corporate background. Why doesn't he go to Liberia, take over one of our banks for the Nigerians and the Ghanaians that are ripping us off, right? Train Liberians, recruit Liberians from all around the world, and help stabilize the economy. So that's my disappointment. Then when I hear some of his foolish, non-cost sycophants, they think that because somebody has money, that means they have the authority or the right to their boss reproach or their boss critic to be critiqued. And those are the kind of people that follow these leaders. Okay? Those are the kind of people that follow it. And that's why they see it within that Europe. You got a bunch of people around in the Heron Costa who they can, first of all, they should be telling you, look, listen, your reputation in Liberia is staying forever.
It's staying.
You need to first apologize to Liberian people. You need to start building community. Take some of your riches, start building libraries in Liberia. Look, let me tell you a short story about Carnegie and even Rockefeller, or even Nobel, Alfred Nobel. You hear the Nobel Prize, people don't know in Liberia. Alfred Nobel was one of the worst persons because he used to make dynamite and he used to make mines, land mines in the world, which killed millions of people. Okay? And one day he read in the obituary, people thought he was dead. And people started to go out there and say all kinds of negative things about him. This man who killed so many people, this profiteer, And you know what? And so he looked himself in the mirror and said, you know what? Is this how people going to see me when I'm dead?
Right.
So he made a vow to take all his money and start to put it around things that will encourage science, that will encourage peace. Today, that's the same Nobel Prize today, Ellie Jones, and all these people, Nelson Mandela. So when you win a Nobel Prize, now you get $1.5 million or so. He took his money and he did something. And the only thing people remember Alfred Nobel for now is the Nobel Prize.
The Nobel Peace Prize, yeah.
Rockefeller, the same way. Rockefeller was the most hated person in America.
Oh, haters,
yes. Go read.
Yeah.
Go read. The thing about Liberians, they don't read.
Let me help you out there, Jones. Rockefeller, the most hated person ever, billionaire ever lived in America, but the most philanthropist. He changed. Yeah, most at the end of his life. Yeah, he took all his money and he started building libraries and started building. You see the Rockefeller Center and started doing. That's where philanthropists in America came about. Started from, yeah. The Kennedy and the Rockefeller. And Rockefeller was the birth. His was the birth of public relations. All right. Yeah, these people don't know.
All right, gentlemen, let us not lose track too much and let us put the focus on the opposition. Sometimes the little sidetrack is good, give you a little bit of history, spice it up, but let's come back to the Liberian opposition bloc. Right. Something that no one can dispute right now is the fact that Darius DeLong, Heren Costa, they are both rising star in the opposition bloc. One would think that, hey, this is not impossible that with this kind of relationship between these two guys, they can form a ticket and knock Ellis Cummings out and give Waka Sholo and maybe go to the election. So putting Heren Costa and DeLong in the picture, because these guys are politicians, you know, no one can judge. And then let's look at the factor of the COP as well. The COP, given the way they're working, claiming to be civil society organization or pressure group, whatever way you classify it, these guys are playing hardball in the Liberian political sphere. You think these guys to represent any credible alternative? Are they the kind of leaders Liberians should be looking up to? Mr. Gilman, stop laughing. You are here to periscope the opposition.
I know. And I'm laughing because you are talking about Darius DeLong and Henry Costa. All right. They are two fine gentlemen of Liberia, but their own standards and measure. But here is the thing. Okay. First of all, as of yesterday, I think the Costa brand, when it comes to advocacy and protest, I think that's a damaged brand. I think it got a high hit yesterday. Yeah. Plus his inconsistencies, his dishonesties in the advocacy industry. Costa have not been consistent. All right. And there are tons and tons of information out there about his inconsistencies. He tells you one thing, he means another thing. Darius DeLong. Okay. This man ran to declare his assets. That he would declare his asset. He did declare his asset. He understated those assets. He has changed his asset declaration papers that he submitted because they could not be verified. They were understated. He changed those. One way he make it public to the people. Okay, both of them put together, they talk about the rights and freedom and all of that. They continue to censor the free speech by banning people, blocking people on their platform. Okay, so I mean, these folks, you know, it was hard time that Monserrado County elected Darius DeLong to be a senator for that great county. And I doubt it he's gonna be re-elected in the first place. Another thing that they share in common is this thing that has to do with I don't know how should I paraphrase it. How should I put it? I don't want to be blunt about it. It may not be too.
Are you talking about money, Mr. Gilman?
money, you know, money is the root of all evil. Yeah. And these two guys will do anything for money. You know, they will do anything for money. We know what Costa does. he blackmails, he extorts, and what have you. Darius Dillon on the other side will take money to come go to school, will not be able to account for those monies, will not complete his education, will not tell you which school even high school he graduated from, all right? Such that the both of them will end up at the White House to go for a meeting to tell you the inconsistency, the contradiction that they have for one another. They could not tell the White House or appointment person whatsoever that they were there for the same reason. They're giving different conflicting information. You know, Liberians will have to understand that some people, they just have the stage presence, but they don't have the leadership ability.
Mr.
You know?
And Mr. Gilman, they call those kind of people, they call them entertainers.
Entertainers,
They
yeah.
call them entertainers.
Someone would think that the fact that these guys can be on the political scene to attract huge amount of following, and in the case of Dillon, he translated that into votes, winning more votes than the current president did when he ran for the Senate. And now Costa is the only Liberian. When he's arriving in Liberia, he gets more people to welcome him than any other. So someone said that's leadership.
Look, if we go by that standard, and that's why I keep saying, if we go by how many people follow people, then Charles Taylor, Prince Johnson, and all the hundreds of other people, Roosevelt Johnson, we can say that they're good leaders. People following someone because of desperation, okay? People following people because of desperation. People will follow anybody in Liberia. What's popular or once they're not in a position to reason, they'll follow anybody. So I don't want to, unless you're going to compare and say, all right, how many people follow Prince Johnson or Charles Taylor, and how many people follow Costa? There were people who were taking guns and killing their own parents for Charles Taylor. So will you heard him up as a hero and a savior of Liberia? So let's stop that nonsense about how many people follow Costa and all this. People will follow because you have a very, very deplorable economic situation. You have a highly illiterate society. You have very few independent news and information. So Costa comes on for the last 7 years, every day. And if you listen to psychology, if you say something in your news, you say something to somebody 3 times consistently, even if it's false, they will believe it.
So, Mr. Jones, you are saying that, Mr. Jones, hold on, you are saying that, acquiring this celebrity status where people gravitate to you, does not say
anything. It means nothing. People follow Cardi B. If Cardi B went to Liberia today, okay, you know how many thousands of people will go out? People were fainting and convulsing over Michael Jackson. Does that make him a better leader? So that's what I'm saying. Put it in perspective. And now let me just put a point. Mr. Gilman, if George Weah don't pay you, I think you can work for us. We'll talk to management. Because you're very good. I never had an exchange with you, but you're sound. You do your research.
Hey, Jones, Mr. Jones, I'm gonna take issue with you. How can you meet a man? You are very critical of people, and something I admire. I like critical people. You just see Mr.
I haven't seen him. I heard him. I heard him.
You just see him.
I heard him.
Anthony.
Just listening to him, and out of the way, out of a sudden, you loving this man. He's everything. No,
I do, and let me tell you why. I do.
Like that, you don't know him.
I don't have to know him.
I'm still learning him.
Mr. C, in the academic world, all right, has anybody met Einstein? Has anybody met Isaac Newton? Has anybody met George Washington? Nobody. You don't have to meet somebody. No. What you have to read about or hear the rationale, how they process things, their argument. When you go to court, while a lawyer can take a person who's guilty, right?
Mr. Jones, let us not make this about Mr.
What I'm saying, as a political pundit and a talk show and a defender of the government, he is good.
We want to make sure that the Liberian community
thank you.
get to know who their opposition leaders are. And let me give you one here, gentlemen. Please hold on. Let me give you one here. Let me go after Benny Nayure. I think Benny Nayure should dissolve his political party. It has no political bearing on Liberia. All he's doing is making the political parties in Liberia more for no reason. Let's look at his leadership. Yeah, people can say he's a businessman. His business he's doing, who he's doing it for himself and his family. Who enjoys the fruit of his business? That's him and his family. I don't see that this man is being a humanitarian in any way. I'm not suggesting that when you are a humanitarian, you will make a good president. But morally, let's look at his leadership ability. What bringing me to the point that he stands no chance as an opposition leader to becoming a president, leads to talk about a senator or representative, is that when he was the chairman of the CPP, as chairman of the CPP, he needed to provide leadership for the opposition bloc, which is the CPP, to produce candidates. And this man chose his daughter. I think that is ridiculous. That of all,
let me take this one. You took the last one. Let me take this one if you don't mind.
Other than his daughter, I think he's nepotistic in nature, and it's sad that he will make such a decision in that manner. So I don't count him at all. He's out. He's not an alternative.
Okay. Let me make a confession. Okay, I don't know Ben Nayure from Adam. So when I came to know these people, I was eating buckwheat in Liberia, starving, while they were driving Mitsubishi around with Taylor. So I don't know him. Again, like I will tell you, Mr. Sear, one thing I like is intellectual challenges. I like to, challenge myself intellectually and say, okay, what if I had to make an argument for this person or the other person, or read a philosophy and think differently? That's why I base my life on. That's why I read a lot. That's why I observe and things like that. Well, let me tell you the truth. Benny Nayure was the most viable candidate in Liberia after Elliot. You know why? Forget about even the chancellor thing. Benny Nayure, I think, in terms of management, has the most experience than all of the candidates in Liberia combined, including Cummings. People don't know this. Benny Nayure was teaching at the university. Hang on now. He was teaching at the University of Management before the war. He was a senior manager at LEC. He had businesses. Even after the war, after Chancellor, Benny Nayure was able to transition from politics into business. Now seeing that this is not an endorsement of Benny Nayure, I will get to that, but I'm just trying to say, when you talk about someone who has some degree of management, Benny Nayure was head of Maritime, he was head of Agriculture Bank, okay, he was head of Hydrocarbon on a Taylor, right? So he has the ability. During Salif time, he was one of the major opposition. Even during the Ebola crisis, he stayed in Liberia, okay? So he had good things going for him in terms of the people, in terms of his economic prowess, and all of that. Now, the problem people, the problem I think most people make, especially in terms of public, people don't know the limitation. What Benny Nayure, like I said, should have done now with all of that, those skills and abilities, was to sit back and say, listen, I made a mistake. I made one bad judgment. Okay? I went behind Chancellor. Let me correct that. That was the only thing he did wrong. Let me correct that, and let me do for the Liberian people. Let me get all the politics, do for the Liberian people. Let Liberian people see me for the manager that I am. Let them see me for what I'm starting off agriculture or wherever. But that was a mistake. They see me with Cummings. Cummings, let Liberian people see him for who he is. He's a manager, a corporate guy. Go and build corporations in Liberia first. Let people see what you can deliver. This presidential thing is madness. It's madness. So that's the problem with Benny Nayure. He's qualified. Benny Nayure is very qualified. He's a very smart guy. I can tell you that much. But again, wrong judgment and wrong, like you say, the people you surround yourself with, you hang out with the wrong people, and that's what's happened to him. And I agree with you, Mr. Sear. Benny Nayure will never win presidency in Liberia, or neither his daughter or anybody, because he continues to, infuriate the Liberian people by his mere presence and denial of the fact that, they did so much wrong in Liberia. How can I see Taylor Ure in Liberia talking about human rights, talking about justice, talking about the law, right? How can I, when I see a picture like that, it boils my blood. Because why didn't you advocate during the Taylor administration where some of us were there? Okay, where some of us were there eating all of the garbage.
Well, can you
while you are in America studying?
Can you
see what I mean?
For what supposedly?
Absolutely. It's like seeing Hitler's daughter coming on the run for Chancellor of Germany, or Stalin's daughter or son coming on and saying he wants to be head of the Russian Federation.
So you are saying she should forget about politics?
No, what I'm saying is if she wants to come into politics, then she has to address the madness and the pillaging that her father brought on the Liberian people. You can't speak about George Weah, corruption, and madness when your father was worse. That's the point I'm making. So you can't. If you do the both, if she comes out and says, listen, what my father did in this country was wrong. He joined a bunch of gangsters. They raped, pillaged Liberian people, and divided and killed 200,000, and I don't condemn it. Trust me, I will be on her ticket. But she doesn't have the moral ground. So is Henry Costa. Okay. The problem with Henry Costa, let's make the assumption. Let's make the assumption here today that Henry Costa become very popular in the next election. He wins the election. Let's make that assumption. I'm willing to make that assumption because Liberian people voted for Doe Taylor, who they can vote for. I won't be surprised.
Right.
Now the question I want to ask you, Mr. Steele, what is Henry Costa? What have you heard from Henry Costa? Again, let's go back to solving problems. The idea of the presidency is to solve problems, is to lift the economy up, which Henry Costa is protesting against. Have you heard one suggestion, one recommendation? Have you read one paragraph in which tells you that Henry Costa, if he was president, he would be able to do any better?
Mr. Jones, this is what I'm going to say to that. This platform is available for Mr. Costa to come to answer that question. Our job here is to periscope the opposition bloc, whether or not they represent a viable alternative. And to those of you in the opposition bloc, whatever your party is, you have the opportunity now to contact us here at Focus on Liberia to come and defend yourself. But we are trying to showcase whether or not you as an opposition bloc represent any viable alternative to what we have today. Let's go to Mr. Michael Gilman. Mr. Gilman, this time around because we are about to wrap up.
Right.
And comments and all that. So go ahead.
Right. On the issue of the last question before the one on the Benina Ure. Let me address that within 30 or more seconds, and then I'll come to Benina Ure. The people say if they qualify or are not available, the available becomes qualified. Do you know Yeke Koluba beat Moba Molu in district number 10? Do you know that?
I'm aware, and he dragged him politically.
Right. And I want to bring it up because you don't ride on the popularity of your stand-up bearer or your party or whatsoever. You got to work. You got to work for it. Okay. You got to work for it. And Benina Ure, all of what Mr. Jones said, yes, I agree. But you know why? You know why he would not get my support and the support of the majority of Liberians? Because we should not reward bad. We should not reward bad with good. Okay? We should not reward bad with good. Benina Ure participated in our war. Whatever he did there, has he reconciled himself with the Liberian people? That we should award or reward him with political leadership in our country? you know. So it's many of them, the Yeke Koluba, the George Bullet, the Prince Johnson, and all of them that participated in the war. But their people were able to elect them. Maybe if Benda Ure runs for that district he lives in, the Periscope era, maybe he will win something. But on the national scene, I doubt he will ever win on the national scene. And then again,
I too doubt it strongly.
Huh?
I say I too doubt it strongly that he will win anything on the national scene.
Right. You know, but Liberians must now begin to understand that we cannot reward bad people with the leadership of our country. No, we can't.
Mr. Gilman, let's look at the CPP. You know, this is the hope of the opposition bloc. You know now that they announced their team many months ago, and up to now, we don't know where they are. Mr. Gilman will always tell us they're working on the document.
Look.
Mr. Cummings will also remind us what they're doing, how far they come. They are here to show us something. We're talking about this is 2020. All right, by election coming up, and these guys don't have a formal agreement yet. What is going on, Mr. Jones?
Let me tell you something.
Well, I will tell you about bad leadership and incapacity. That's what we're talking about. Again, people, you see, something like what is it? Either a lemon or your tangerine. You can't expect someone who doesn't have something to produce something. And that's what we lack in Liberia. You talk about all these successful countries, all right? And it's not about education. Look, I despise more the educated people in Liberia than the people who are just semi-educated. My biggest opposition in Liberia are the educated, Congo, privileged people, of which I'm a part of, I would say, at least halfway. Because these are people who had serious opportunity to build a good nation, to build a nation built on merit for many, many years, decades. And what did they do? They abused it. Okay? So I don't have any sympathy for them. Okay? And now that I'm fan of any George, I'm sure Mr. Gilman read my articles and so forth, but I like to be objective. We do not have an opposition in Liberia. We do not have any political leader in Liberia that have any idea how to run a bakery. Okay? Yeah, okay. The Henry Costa, just go back to the Henry Costa.
Mr. Jones, don't say that. What's his name?
Okay.
Mr. Cummings. You said he's from corporate America. Costa.
Okay, so what has he done? Hold on. Mr. Cummings has retired.
Talia Ure is a business person, so don't say there's no one who can run a bakery. Don't say that.
Okay. Those bakeries in Liberia or those businesses in Liberia, okay? Tell me how many people benefit from it. They're not businesses. They're sole proprietorship. It's a big difference.
Mr. Jones, let's talk about Professor Alari Toba. I sense that he wants to come to the political scene, and project himself as a candidate.
I don't even think it was a method. I think Alari Toba is a good teacher. I think he's in the classroom. I think he should go to LU. I think he's a good philosopher. The thing in Liberia is like we think that being in politics, and I would never get into politics because you know what? That's not my area. That's not something that I'm good at. I'm too bold. People need to realize what the skills are. Okay? Look, the Nobel Prize winners in physics, chemistry, are they presidents? Why every Liberian think that the only way you can aspire to greatness is to go into politics in your country? You got Dangote in Nigeria. Yes, a man who is the richest man, not just one of the richest men in the world, in a country that people say is corrupt, dysfunctional. And look at what he's been able to produce. Look at how many thousands of jobs, industries. So when you talk about businesses in Liberia, Taylor Ure and Benna Ure and Alexander, are you kidding me? Please don't even go there.
Let's bring Mr. Gilman. Mr. Gilman, I want you to prepare for Alari Toba. He's a progressive. He been in the arena. He got the scars to prove. What makes you think he can make a good president?
He got the scars to prove. And I'll take you back to my first comments here.
No, just deal with Alaric. We are running out of time. Don't go to history. Deal with Alaric.
Alaric How many times Alawi ran for political office?
I don't know. Tell us.
From Lofa County, he can't win. He ran. He
Any
ran to
reason
be
why he can't
representative.
win?
It's because he got the political scars to prove that he's been in the vanguard in the struggle. They've been preaching all of these things. Is to materialize these things, the advocacy. Okay? Because all of their political leaders, Amos Sawyer, Tipote, Bacchus Matthew, did not do those things that they long preached, that society must follow, government should do. So people don't want to reward them. Say, oh, we've seen it in your idols or political godfathers, whatsoever. And we don't see it in you. Your people came and failed us. So we can't reward you. So let him remain teaching. You know? He can't,
Mr. Gilman, do you think, let's be specific on the progressive, do you think it's more of a problem with the progressive and less of a problem with the people, or more of the problem with the electorates and less of a problem with the progressive?
It's more of a problem with the progressive. Okay? It's more of the problem with progressive. They've got to find their bearings in current day Liberia, the current reality that people are faced with. You know,
you think they're living in the past?
They are living in the past. They are living in the past. They've got to retool. They've got to come out of that slumber. Yeah, that people will see them and regard them as leaders, and so let's vote them in. No, it's not going to happen. It's
All
not
right,
going to happen.
gentlemen, let's do this. Gentlemen, let's do this. I will want to solicit a political advice from each of you on the political parties and their political leaders. Gentlemen, let's be brief because we are completely out of time. Starting with Bwaka, Mr. Jones, just be brave, gentlemen. Don't make it too long because we got to go by the list.
I think Mr. Bwaka is, you know,
for Bwaka.
Mr. Bwaka, among all the political party, I think he's the most honorable in terms of his personal character. From what I've read and I've seen, he has a little bit of integrity. So I think he should use that, retire, right? Make sure that the Unity Party gets in the hands of good people, not the Americans and the Kafuya and all the people. He needs to go out there and find independent people who are smart, who have, you know, good character and moral in Liberia, and recruit them into the Unity Party and let them determine the future of the Unity Party. And he should retire. You know, he's done his service. He should retire and move on.
And then what's about Mr. Cummings? What's your advice to him? Just in a few seconds.
I think he should fire everybody that around here ever give me any advice, just for the mere fact that he lost election, spend that kind of money, have that kind of, you know, reputation of being a corporate leader and go to Liberia and fail in the election miserably, and then still failing in the public opinion. You know, so he moved all the stooges around him, start on a clean sheet of paper, right? Again, he knows corporations, go get consulting, not U.S. consulting. Go to people like maybe Gilman. You know, say, look, Gilman, what can I do?
Man,
I'll
don't
pay
bring
you.
a Gilman thing yet, man. Gilman thing. In this business,
I'm not saying Gilman, but I mean, what I'm saying is, Mr. C, go to independent people who can tell you the truth, who can tell you your weaknesses, who can tell you where maybe the weakness may be, look, maybe it's not time. Focus on industries, right?
Right.
And then maybe 5 years from now, you can come back.
All
But
right,
if you don't have those kind of people around you, Henry Castle should go to school. He needs to go to school. And he doesn't need to come to America to go to school. He needs to go to Liberia, University of Liberia. Okay? He needs to show the Liberian people that he's with them. He can't come to a school in America, all right? Which is telling the very people who follow him that he should get, you know, he's thinking of the US and the Salih. The school in Liberia is not good for them and their children, right? But I see Liberian people he wants to go to follow him. So he needs to stay his butt right in Liberia. Go to the University of Liberia. I think Kafuya went to university, graduated, and Mr. Gilman went to demonstration, by the way. So I'm alumni of demonstration, part of it. Good school at the time. But he should go to Liberian College, right? Graduate, okay? He should after he graduated, his first issue, I think that Mr. Gilman said he's done. At least political. He has not been able to bring neutral people around him. And being with Yeke Koliba and Taylor Ure and Mo Ali doesn't help his case. He needs to first go to school. He can still be an advocate. He's the best talk show guy, but he needs to focus on learning economics, learning, finance, learning politics, and being humble a little more. Being very humble. I think that's his weakness.
All right. Thank you. Let's come to you, Mr. Gilman. What advice do you have for Mr. Boakard, Mr. Cummings, and then Costa?
Mr. Boakard is like, a father figure to our country. He's been in politics for, 42, 44 years? Age is not in his favor to be president for that country. He needs to sit back and provide that advice to the young people, in fact, to this government, because he's currently serving as the peace ambassador. As peace ambassador, he cannot sow seeds of discord. He need to either relinquish that position or grab onto the position and provide that guidance, that leadership, bring the people together. Yeah, that's what I have for him. He cannot win election to be president in our country. Age is not in his favor. Yeah.
All right. And Mr. Cummings?
Alexander Cummings, I did a lot of conversation on him, about him, and expose a whole great deal about him to the Liberian people. First and foremost, I'd like to send out an open invite to Mr. Cummings and his team, the ANC, to come on GHT at any time. We will adjust our schedule to speak with him or his representative. They've been on the show before with me, participated, Remy Gray, twice. I hosted him. I don't know how is the relationship with he and Cummings, but Cummings have got to go back to that video that he did with Rodney Sear, in which he said his agriculture plan would take effect after 3 years. That statement alone, it will be 2 years by the next couple of weeks of this government. And what will Cummings be showing to the Liberian people, assuming that he was elected president that time? You don't wait for the next round of elections to begin to show your tentacles or what you're going to do. Because by the next election, President Weah and the CDC will be highlighting their achievements. We've done this. We've done this. This is getting completed. That is getting completed. In fact, the military hospital will be dedicated this February 11.
Mr. Gilman, you're not here to propagate for CDC.
No, that's what it said.
Your advice for Mr. Cummings and his
So Cummings now, we have to look at what he will be pointing at or pointing to for the Liberian people in 2023 if he's going to contest again. Look at that your agriculture plan and say, oh, though I did not win, but I was able to reopen the sugar factory in Maryland County. I got a cassava.
Mr. Gilman, some people think there is disunity in the ANC. Why would you advise Mr. Cummings?
Let him take the advice of one of the founders of ANC, Kwame Clement. He needs to talk with Kwame Clement. They need that consultation. Yeah. If they are not talking or we're not talking much about the party, its programs, policies, and whatsoever, they need to go back to the drawing board. And there are too many people around who got empty pockets and they feel that they can fill their pockets from Alexander Cummings. Yeah. And that leaves off with my last statement here. He should not be going around as that Jawli Adib man. I
don't know where you're coming from with Jawli Adib. And of course, by the way, Jawli Adib, bring the money, let us chat.
Bring the money, let us eat it. Yeah.
And Mr. Gilman, Costa, we are running out of time. Costa, what would be your advice to the rising for Costa? Costa and Abraham and Darius DeLong.
Costa is Liberia's foremost talk show host. He has the largest platform, the largest followings. His teachings have been wrong many, many times. They are inconsistent, dishonest, and an inconsistent, dishonest advocate, or advocacy is one that is rooted in fraud. He has to think about that. Either focus on going to school, complete the education, and think about what kind of advocacy he wants to lead. You got to complete something. If at all the advocacy is against asset or about asset declaration, that if you declare your asset, you should make it public. He has Darius DeLong, Yeke Koluba, and others in the House and Senate that they can propose or legislate or bill, lobby with their colleagues.
Mr. Gilman, final question on Costa, please.
Yeah.
Costa has come across now as this protest guy. You're always trying to organize a protest. I strongly believe that they just ended protest. They did not plan it well. They didn't organize it well. And though they managed to bring some people out, but in terms of organization, leadership, I will consider that as a failure because there was no speeches.
There was no organization. There was no
organization
leadership.
Was poor.
Yeah,
Why will you advise him? Will you advise that next time it should be at a stadium? It will be like a political rally where they have people from all walks of life, young boy, market women, students, teachers, all professional, with one representative speaking. The
motive, the original motive behind that protest of yesterday was to remove the president. George, we have stepped down. And so they wanted the Capitol building. They wanted that venue between the Capitol building and the mansion.
Right.
And so they did
not see. Can I ask a question when you're done?
Yeah, they did not see the Anthony Totman Stadium as an ideal place where perhaps they would have carried on their cooking, their singing, their vigils, and and then Costa
has. Is that something you advise them, even though they can decide what they want to do?
Costa has got to
advise them.
Yeah. Costa will have to now think about we, us, we, and not I, me and myself. I, me and myself. I will have to determine the success of this protest and on my own term.
Wow.
If it is not,
Mr. Gilman,
Mr. Gilman, let's bring in Mr. Jones here. Mr. Jones, I want you to speak to the issue of the organization, the COP.
You are Machiavellian, okay? Machiavellian.
Right. Hold on, Mr. Jones.
You pray to your enemy, giving him advice.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you.
The COP is more like a one-man show, in my opinion.
What?
Because
Mr. Gilman helping the man, giving the man advice.
He would say something on his talk show, and then when they
are you listening?
Which he said before the meeting is what they will come up with. Is that a one-man show they're running over there?
It is. I mean, everything Mr. Gilman says is correct. The Hebrews, the arrogance.
What does he need to do?
Well, like I said, first of all, he needs to be equipped with the issues. He needs to understand. He's talking about economics in Liberia. He doesn't even understand. I bet he can even read a balance sheet.
No, I'm not asking you about a different subject and all that. The leadership of the COP, bringing in more people in the COP, if that is.
I think that's fine. Yeah. And I talked to Costa. I've spoken with Costa. Of course, not always on a happy note. Because he usually upset when you read negative things about him. But, I think he has good intention. He's caught up again with the wrong people and a desire for wealth. Yes, a man
Everybody
who
will
wants
be
to
the wrong
drive a
people
Porsche.
now.
No, I mentioned some good people in Liberia. Ronnie Sears is a good guy. You know, if Ronnie Sears running for president, I'll be on his stream. There's a lot of good people. I mean, the
I'm
former
sure if
vice
Gilman were
president did
running for
Harry
president,
Mollabach.
you'll be running his campaign too. Gilman, maybe you should
If
run for
Gilman running
president.
for president, I will test you with a 10-foot pole. Okay, because you better tell the whole Liberia and tell us a good thing, and we'll all be here.
Yeah, gentlemen, we
But
have to conclude.
let me ask my question. Let me ask
Okay.
my question to Mr. Gilman. Mr. Gilman.
Yeah.
All right. I have a campaign of my own, and my campaign is to get rid of the presidency, and I want to hire you to
We'll
work
keep
for
that
me.
for another time. We'll keep that for another time. We'll bring you on to talk
So
about this.
I will call you. I will
Right.
call you to come work with me.
Okay, all
Because you're
right.
very good.
Let's keep
Thank you very
the
much.
presidency for another time.
All
Gentlemen,
right.
folks in cyberspace, again, this is focused on Liberia. On our program, The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony Sear. This is where we discuss all the politics that matter. We have started a month-long series here called Periscope. We are periscoping all the blocs in the political sphere of Liberia. Today, we started with the opposition bloc. And as you heard from us, we went everywhere. The political parties, the political leaders, and all the actors therein, we were able to go here and there. We are coming to the close of our discussion. Thank you for following. We are so sorry that we could not read all of your comments. We placed our phone number hoping that you have seen it and placed some call. You did not do so, but we've been reading your comments, but not loud for you to hear. We are sorry. Next time, we'll do better. Let's go back to our two gentlemen here. Gentlemen, I will need your closing statement, and then we will be out of here. Mr. Gilman, the man who has gone after the opposition, and to you, the opposition, if you feel in any way unfairly treated here, then reach out to us and we will bring you everything that has been said here that you want to make clarification. You can do so. Next week, we will be periscoping the ruling party. Everything about CDC, all the leaders, all the government officials, those ones that are making consequential decisions, including the president, he will be Periscope. Don't miss it. Next Tuesday, same time. Mr. Gilman.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Sear, Anthony Sear. I'd like to thank the gentleman, Mr. Jones. I've not interacted with him. It's my first time, interacting with him here on this global stage, And we need more of these conversations about our country. And, we should be honest about it. Because we have a democracy to defend. We have a country to protect. We have the people to care for. If we do all of these things, dishonestly, what happens is that we're going to have a breakdown of our society, of our country. And there will be nothing to fall back on. Our young people will remain hopeless. So I believe that we have an opportune time right now in our country when people feel that advocacy is the way forward, that every cell phone in our country becomes a broadcast instrument, and becomes a listening device that you can connect with somebody from Australia, from China, from Morocco, from the Americas. Everywhere you can connect in record time. Today, Facebook reminded me of a post that I did on my personal page titled Footprints. All of what we do here are digital footprints that we leave behind, and they are not erased. They are kept somewhere in Arizona desert. And whenever they want to track us, they will go there and find those footprints. Let's make sure the footprints we leave behind are positive, are intended to build our country, to uplift one another. All right? We can disagree, but we should not be enemies because we disagree. There is a whole lot we can gain from our diversity.
Time.
Rather than tearing one another down in our tiny, tiny minds. Let's focus on the bigger picture. Liberia. Let's keep the peace. Let's hold on to the security. Let's enjoy one another. Let's give peace a chance. Let's allow or the tenure of our government or positions or elected positions or appointed positions. Let's allow those to elapse with time. Let's do it. Let's do change of leadership whatsoever peacefully. Again, thank you, Mr. Jones. I hope to talk to you one-on-one behind the scenes or Anthony Sia and Dennis Jad do have my number. My number is everywhere, 313-957-9702. We will be coming on immediately following this broadcast.
Seems to be the man. This guy is running a campaign.
Thank you very much.
I told you. Mr. Sia.
Gilman, thank you. You heard from him right there. That's the man. Why Michael Gilman? He said, "Let's keep the peace." And if I might add to him, let's debate the issues, and no other place to debate the issue other than focus on Liberia.
Liberia, correct.
At this program, the Hour of Politics. Mr. Jones, your closing statement.
Mr. Sia, Liberia, you need to keep Mr. Gilman off the air because if he keeps talking like that, I'm probably going to join the CDC. And I don't want to do that. God, bring him my night for tomorrow. So, but no, in all fairness, I think he's right. Everything that we say is a digital footprint. It tells where your record is. Most people live in the moment. They think that, someday, what they do today, wherever is the benefit is short run, that will last forever.
Right.
What I want to be remembered for is 20 years from now, when people go back to these states, okay, I want them to hear my opinions and my views and say, wow, or Mr. Gilman, or Mr. C, or Mr. Ja, or Rodney C. Because that's what matters. The future is not us. We have to start looking beyond ourselves, looking beyond what position you're going to get in the next 2 to 3 years. People have high positions, and it's gone. 5, 10 years from now, who will remember what position you have? So I think we can build a country, but it has to be with dialogues. And so I'm very critical of those who are not open, those who want to shape public policy and opinion, but they don't want to do it in a public square. Whether you can't focus on Liberia, you don't can't focus on Liberia. I don't know how to say Liberia, that your money can't, I don't know how to say it, but.
Like your poor money.
Yeah, your poor money. You understand? I don't think it will make a difference. It will make a difference in my life. But if you have something to offer in terms of policy, you want to shape people's minds. Okay, whether you want to be a Ben Franklin or you want to be a George Washington or Jefferson. Okay, that's all the business that we're in. You have to confront people. You have to be able to express yourself. You have to be able to let them critique you. Okay, if you can't do that, then you cannot be in the public square. People call Obama everything. But a child, they call him Antichrist. They call him wherever. But Obama never shied away from any kind of. He was in the barber shop. He was on every radio station, FM.
Right.
So if you want to be a leader like Mr. Gilman, who can come out here on a hot star on what you call the station, the hardball.
Yeah.
Consistently go after George Lopo, go after any. And I encourage other people who want to be in politics, our young people and the people who ready, the leaders, the Cummings, whatever, start hiding behind your, wherever. Go to the people and start discussing. Go to the attire shop. Okay? Go to the ordinary places that people are. Don't go into some fancy, Ford magazine and sit down with a nice chair. Ford magazine don't vote for you. BBC don't vote for you.
No.
The people who are going to vote for you are the people who are listening.
Are the
people who are on the ground. And that's what George Weah did, and that's why he's so successful. So if you guys want to mount a campaign, you have to learn to be able to have an intellectual conversation. Not that Facebook thing here when somebody criticizes you, you get upset if you can't be sensitive. You're a former public official. Why should people shouldn't critique you? Then why did you go into public office? I'm a private citizen. I never worked for Liberian government and probably never will in my entire life. But if you're a public office official, you're Ellie Johnson, I have every right to critique you, to write about you, all right, to analyze you. So get used to it. Grow up. So thank you for this discussion, Mr. C, that I usually refer to as the Anderson Cooper of Liberia.
Right.
Tough. And I encourage all the media, the institutional media, not the one here, one person come on.
The Chris Martins come out of him too with hard ball.
Yeah, the hard ball. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen, for helping to periscope the Liberian opposition. And I'm going to close with this. To those of you who are in the opposition, our business here is to make sure we tell you what you need to hear, because in your respective political institution, they will not tell you. We believe that any of you can become our president tomorrow. Many of you will be holding consequential offices in our country tomorrow, and you will be making decisions that will impact the lives of many. And so we believe that we need to tell you what you need to hear. You need to hear what is not comfortable for you, but that is right for you to hear so that you can put your house in order. Our country has suffered so much. This is not a time to allow leaders who will come and be making all of the mistakes. That is the reason of this Periscope series. We have Periscope the opposition today. To the opposition, go on any platform. It does not have to be focused on Liberia. Go and take your policy argument to the people. Start howling in your comfort zone in your political party. Start going to platforms that members of your political parties broadcast on Facebook. Go everywhere if you need every vote. Tell us what you can do differently. This is the essence of being a political institution. I will say to Boaka, oh man, it is your right to run for the presidency, but you have said, somebody will ask you, well, the way you know best. You are all enough, leave the political scene, bring other people to the fore and guide them. They will provide leadership. You do not have monopoly over leadership in Liberia. The Liberian people have been generous to you. So that is what I will tell you. To Mr. Cummings, Ellis June said, I know somebody will not agree with me. There are people who are not helping you best. Look for the best people. Broaden the tents. Go everywhere. Appear on every platform. We have made numerous calls to members of the ANC. They have declined. If you come here and we'll ask you questions and you defend yourself, if you explain to us what Mr. And Cummings can do differently, that's the best way you are helping him. But you can't be under your Facebook Live and you think that only your followers are listening to it will make a difference. No. To Henry Costa, you are a rising star in Liberia. To Ebi Daros DeLong, please listen to people who criticize you and make adjustment. Any of you can become a leader tomorrow. We want you to stop making mistakes. And I will advise you, if there will be any other rally, any other protest, do it at a stadium. If you have a political rally as a stadium where marketers have a representative to speak, students, professionals like doctors, nurses, from every sector of the Liberian community, if they make those speeches in let's say 1 week, and you fill that stadium, you still make a positive message. Making a message does not have to be confrontational to the government. If you fill that stadium, if Georgia sees that crowd, looking at the fact that he could not fill the stadium, SKD at the last time he had a program there, he will get to know that things are not going right for him. Your message will go forth. The international wire will carry it. Let's avoid the confrontational protest. I love protest. People will tell you, I've been part of protests all around here in the United States. All we are saying is, it is in our power to keep the peace. So to you, the opposition, focus on Liberia is open for you to come. Come and discuss your policy. Come tell us how you do it differently. Start howling behind your wives and your children and your partisans. They are not going to get your message further. but we can do it because many people listen to us. Again, this series continues next week, Tuesday, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, and we will be periscoping the ruling Coalition for Democratic Change. Don't miss it. We will go after them. We'll tell you what they're doing wrong and what they need to do right. Thank you for listening. Sorry that we could not read your comments. Our show will be on YouTube an hour from now for you to see. Thank you and God bless you. This is so we are not here to justify. And if nobody talk about you, you are nobody. You are somebody. That's why we are periscoping you. So don't get fast. You should be proud that somebody is talking about you. The people who are in the castle, who are in the tomb, no one talks about them anymore. This is what we try to do here. And so, folks, that will do it for us here. I focus on Liberia on our program. The Hour of Politics with me, Anthony here. Bye-bye. See you next week.